Welcome back to my Booksfield Life channel. So I'm really excited today because I have a video for y'all for Hear Our Voices book tours. And I'm on the tour for Raybearer by Jordan E. Flecko. And I'm really excited to tell y'all about this book because it was amazing. So for those of you who don't know, I don't really do synopses, so here's like my real quick fire description. So this book is about Terasai, and her mother gets into some shenanigans. She's born as the third wish of her mother, and her mother wants Terasai to gain the trust of the future Emperor Dio, and once she gains it, murder him. And Terasai's like, haha, nah girl, nah. So she says no, and then shenanigans ensue, and the whole book is basically just Terasai trying to not do this one thing that she has to do in order to free herself from this wish or curse, whichever side you like to look at it from. So yes, my initial thoughts on this book are, number one, you need the audiobook. We're gonna go into that. Number two, I had been hearing how amazing this book was from multiple people in my book community circle, and I was really looking forward to it. It was already on my TBR. I was already gonna buy it, and then Jessie from Bow Ties and Books did a video book vlog of them reading Raybearer, and I found out that Raybearer had a sexual rep. And then I was completely sold. Like, I mean, let's be honest. I was already sold on it already. Like, hello, cover, black girl magic, afros, fairies, rays. Come on. Like, look, we match. Hey. So I was already down for it. But then I heard it had asexual rep, and I needed it because the asexual rep, it's lacking, people. It's lacking. And I am happy to say that I was really happy with the way it was represented in the book. I was just really happy with the book in general because I could have sworn everybody was asexual in the book. However, the thing is that emotional intimacy is such a prominent part of this book. Consent is so much of an important part in this book, and loving each other, truly loving each other, in order to even be able to make the connection, is a huge part of this book. Like, the Council of 11 is like one big family / platonic relationship, if I could explain it that way. So let's just say that I was happy to see my King Dio repping on the page, and so I was just really excited about it. So I would like to say that up front. I really enjoyed it. The asexual rep was good, and I will hold this book dear to my heart. Okay, now on the audiobook side. So the reason I say you have to buy the audiobook. So a lot of people either read the audiobook or read the book. But I, as a person who always or almost always reads the book along with the audiobook, because, you know, migraines, they just love to make your life lovely, you know? But this one, Raybearer's audiobook, is critical. And the reason I say it's critical is because you will miss some things in the book that are amazing because you're not listening to it. And I don't even know if I should suggest that you buy the audiobook over the book, but in all honesty, it works best if you have both, because, like, annotating, have you seen the amount of tabs? This book was so amazing that I had an Unpack This tab, a World Building tab, Favorite Quotes, Creative Stuff tab, Platonic Loving Moments tab, and a Quotes tab. So, like, there were a lot of colors going on in here. The reason the audiobook is important, and I will mention this just in case you can't get your hands on the audiobook or are interested in getting your hands on the audiobook for the particular reasons I'm about to list, then be my guest. So, number one, there is a main side character called Kathleen, and Kathleen has a very prominent lisp. Not only is it a normal thing for Kathleen to have, which I love because it's just like representation all across the board, but it is how the people of her empire speak. So it's like, it's not only a trait of hers, but it's a pride that she has in her list because it's her part of her language, which I absolutely love. And Kathleen is badass. So like, you know, the next thing that we have with the audiobook is that there's so much usage of sounds and music and just sounds and music, and you won't really get the feel of the sounds and the music unless you're hearing the narrator read it to you in the proper tone and the proper rhythm. And I found that it's so much sprinkled throughout the book that it really is something to miss if you are not listening, because it's such a key part of the story, the sounds. And sometimes the sounds lead to important moments, or sometimes the sounds lead to important places. And I feel like you don't get that atmosphere if you're not listening. The third thing about it is the narrator herself. So from the narrator, you kind of also get a sense of what the people in this world at the children's palace, etc., would sound like in real life. And I absolutely love that because I felt like somebody was narrating the story to me, and they were giving me ambiance, and they were giving me like tension and like suspense. And I don't know, the narrator for Raybearer is freaking amazing. So like literally the book, you could even listen to it on like 2 times, even if you're not the kind of fast listener, because the narrator speaks so clearly that like at 2 times they still sound like a regular person, which is exciting because, like, you know, the audiobook is a little long. I would say like, ooh, I'd have to look it up, but I'd say anywhere between like 14 hours or so. I would say it took me like 4 sit downs to listen through the whole book because, you know, a girl needs a break. So yeah, audiobook, book, one of the two or both, highly recommended. Now, the other thing is, into my review. So, what surprised me about this book? So what surprised me about this book was the world building. So I'm relatively new to fantasy, I'd say this year. And I've just been hitting the jackpot with all like my Black, Indigenous, and POC like world building, spot on, like amazing content world writing by all of these fabulous authors. And Raybearer is not an exception. The world building was amazing. The soft magic, it felt effortless the way the magic system worked. Like I write questions at the end of every chapter, and I had nothing unanswered. I mean, obviously, there's going to be a next book, so I had some things unanswered. But I mean, like, things that were critical to this book, I got all the answers that I needed. From the magic system, from the story itself, from the background, from who these people are. And I was just in love. Favorite characters. Oh, this is a list. So favorite characters, we have Dio, which is the future crown prince. We have, or the future emperor. We have Kira, which is Terasai's best friend. We have Terasai, which is like a boss. And then we have Sanjit, and then we have Sanjit. And Sanjit, we were having this talk on a live show that the girls were having. Sanjit is to be protected. Sanjit is part of what could come across as a love triangle of sorts, except it's more complicated than that. So don't go into this thinking like, you know, it's like some easy romance that there's going to be in the book. Yeah, there's romance, but like the fabulousness of it is that you really don't know who you're going to get. You really don't know how it's going to end up. And that's another thing that really caught me from the book, like the push and pull in the book between right and wrong. And you never knew what side you were on, because you'd be like, oh, well, you know, he's got a point. And then you'd be like, well, she's got a point. And then, like, you're going back and forth. So I would say, like, the morally gray ambiance of the book really had me intrigued the whole time. And, I mean, it has to have you intrigued when you listen to an audiobook for 14 hours, is all I'm saying. Then, obviously, Dio and Terasai are the platonic desire we all have with people. Like, we all need that person. We all need a platonic person. And Dio and Terasai are just goals. Like, somebody get me a Dio, and somebody get me a Sanji. And on top of that, get me a Terasai, because I need a kick-ass girlfriend. So, can I just have them all? You know, we can be happy. It's cool. Then, the next thing I have is my least favorite character. Emperor Olugbade, or Olugbade, can go. Actually, I'm going to check this real quick. So I kept hearing his name in the audiobook, but I'm going to find him. Olugbade. Olugbade. Yeah, Emperor Olugbade. Okay? So he, you know, I thought we were going to get some info about maybe, you know, I could soften up to him, you know? Because like I said, this book is morally great. You know, maybe there was something that was missing, some details. But let's just say that even when I gathered all the facts and all the details, I was like, nah, you gotta go. So we don't like him. We don't stand him in this house. What did I like and what didn't I like about Raybearer? So there is nothing I didn't like, and I know y'all see my video book reviews and you're like, nah, you always never have something to dislike. That's not true. That's not true. But however, lately I've just been reading all these 5-star fantasy books by POC and Black authors, and I just, what am I supposed to say? I got nothing bad to say about it. So, but like I said, what you have to like about this book is that it is diverse in many aspects, in representing characters that you normally don't see, like Kathleen with her list, representing 11 different characters that I really hope we get to meet further in the other books, but even all the main characters, which I would say the list of pronunciation in the back has about 10 people that we actually went into a little bit of detail with. And I don't think anybody's character was shortchanged by any other. Like, yes, obviously some characters were more central point, but everybody did play a part as the Council's 11, even though, like, you know, you can't obviously talk about all 11 in one book, but they showed up enough that you knew they were important, that you knew they mattered to the story. And then the people who were the main characters really went super in depth. And the reason I haven't been really specific about plot is because I don't want to spoil it, because everything in this book is like connected to each other. And so if I say something, I'm going to spoil something else. Which brings me to the lady. The lady reminds me of Aiden from Illuminate when it comes to the morally gray business. And I know that's a white book. I'm not comparing. What I'm saying is that the morally grayness of this character was done so well that you might not necessarily hate them for what they've done. So prepare yourself to love to hate a character. So yeah, that's the lady, and she's up to a lot of shenanigans, so I'm not gonna say nothing. Other than that, let me look at my notebook real quick so I cannot miss. There is some content warnings to talk about though. There are sexual assault, child abuse, domestic violence, death of a parent. So like, yes, the book is wonderful, but it also deals with some heavy subjects. I also mentioned that I had some unpack this tabs on my book. So for those people who aren't full-on voices like me, who I'm not Black or Nigerian, like the person in the book, or the main character in the book, or the author, I think there are a couple of parts in this book that would really serve for general readers to unpack this. Like, when you get to those pages, read it and read it again until you understand the commentary that is happening about society and Black lives and assimilation and culture erasure, and the commentary is popping and true. So what I'm going to do is that I'm also going to have a a book review, like a written book review. I'm going to have a playlist, and in that post, I'm also going to put a couple of pages that I labeled as unpack this. So maybe when you're reading and you come across these pages, you can be like, oh, Nat said I need to unpack this and I need to put some thought into it. And you can sit down, unpack it, and, you know, learn something else. And honestly, that's all I have, because I didn't want to spoil it. I just wanted to tell you how amazing the audiobook was, how amazing the book was, how you have a lot to learn from this book, even though it's full of fantasy and magic and wonder and beauty. So honestly, today is the release day. Happy book birthday, Jordan, of Raybearer. So if you liked anything that I had to say in my video today, please do yourself a favor. Do not sleep on this book and go get yourself a copy. Request it at your library. Get that audiobook, which is probably on Scribd tomorrow or today. So yeah, I've been really excited to bring this video to you. And you know, feel free to like, subscribe, follow me everywhere else on social media. My links are below, and I'll also make sure to link my posts with the unpack this and the music and the book review so you can check it out. All right, so I'll see you next time. Bye bye.